Hey there, everybody. How's it going today? I got a question from Tyler. Tyler's somebody that's been working out a long time as a fellow strength coach, pretty credentialed and experienced, but is somewhat new to using kettlebells, which, you know, after I got the email, I started to think there's probably a lot of other people out there that have a ton of experience, lifetime experience working out, but really aren't sure with kettlebells because there's kind of a wide range of information you can get. So, you know, I think the information over the years has kind of been sparsed out to a couple of different places. You have the division between, you know, the fitness realm or the hard style, and then you have kettlebell sport, or what was called soft style back in the day. But that shouldn't change what kettlebells are used for. Kettlebells should be used to really improve conditioning and fitness, building strength, all over strength in all different aspects. And when you talk about, you know, sports performance, using a kettlebell correctly and to its fullest potential, it is the best, most versatile training modality in my mind. But, you know, back to the swings, and you know, Tyler, I would assume, is just using these for fitness. He's not wanting to injure himself, and that's the whole point of my training program, is to, you know, stay fit as I'm aging. I'm gonna be 46 next month. I had a lot of prior injuries from my sport of wrestling, and you know, I use these things to stay healthy, and that's predominantly why I use them, is for healthcare. My conditioning program, the things I use are strictly for health and health maintenance and to feel better, and mental health especially. But so when you're talking about a swing, you know, any of you that are struggling with your swing and how to do it, you know, it breaks down to having feedback on that swing. Obviously, you've already had feedback that tells you, I'm not doing this right and I need some help. So, you know, this video is for you. Feedback, there's a couple of different sources. There's, you know, external, and then there's internal. And when you're talking about external, it would be something like a mirror where you can see where you're moving, or, you know, video, or a coach telling you. So, you know, those are the first sources that you want to get to evaluate where your swing's at. Your second and most important, I feel, and what you need to gain, is that internal feedback, that feeling of, okay, I'm doing this right, all these muscles are firing, I'm getting the most out of this, I'm going to continue to do this well because this feels great. So that's where you kind of want to start, is look at your sources of feedback. When I teach a kettlebell swing, or when I perform one, and how I learned, there were 5 aspects, and I got these from Coach Steve Cotter. I've used a lot of resources over the years. I've been lucky to kind of research and find some really good quality trainers. I've taken a lot from the fitness community. RKC was your most known resource back in the day. It's kind of blown up because Dragon Door was the marketing company and Pavel's moved on to Strong First. But, you know, so everybody wanted to use them intensely and really rough, you know, starting out, and you know, then you have this therapeutic side, and Steve Maxwell, Steve Cotter, they branched off of the RKC early in the years, and they started to show more of a therapeutic value, and I kind of stuck on that because that's what I was looking for and that's what I needed. So, you know, and then you have the sports style, which, if you really want to learn a good swing, it takes a lot of repetitions, a lot of time. But you know, the 5 things that you really want to focus on when you're doing your kettlebell swing is, you know, set up your body position. That's the first step that you want to look at, is how you're setting up. Number 2 would be how you're holding the bell, how you're gripping it. Number 3 would be your breathing pattern with your bell, or with your motion in your swing. Number 4 would be your muscle engagement and the timing of those muscles, knowing what to use, when to tense it up, in concert with your breathing. And then the last thing you want to kind of look at is the path that your bell is traveling. So all those 5 aspects we're going to go over, but you kind of want to evaluate and look at, you know, and expand and really understand that you're getting all those points really well. So starting off with body position, correct body position is getting your hips about, or your feet about as wide as your hips. And, you know, before we get into this, a big portion of having a successful swing is doing mobility work. And for me personally, this really worked was getting my hip swings going. I do them in every single video that I do the mobility warm-up, but this little hip hinge back, and then this lockout forward where you're engaging your glutes, you're able to brace your abdominals, find tension in those abdominals. It sets you up for a successful swing motion, because really this pelvic tilt and this lockout are the end ranges of your swing. So getting those hips back is how you protect your low back as you're hinging forward in the swing. And then as you come up, this gluteal lockout times up the quad lockout, times up ab engagement, lat engagement. That's where the magic and the benefit is in that swing, is getting all those muscles to fire and lock out in a controlled, organized manner, time after time after time. So you're doing that knowing you're not setting yourself up for injury. So you're using the abs instead of the low back, you're using the glutes instead of the low back, because that's the most common overuse injury, is low backs on these. So learning how to keep your low back out of the swing starts with your pelvic tilting and your mobility work. Mobility is joint strength. It's the ability to get into a full range of motion and to own that motion. So strength is in mobility work. Okay, so setting your feet up and getting your body in position. It's really getting your feet about hips width. You set your hips back. Okay, so I'm trying to get my feet nice and controlled. I'm getting my hips back, and I'm angling this bell in line with my fists. So during your whole swing, you always want this fist and this bell to stay in alignment. The most common time that we lose alignment is in this back swing that rolls around like that. Is it a huge swing breaker? Not really. It can erode your grip over time. It's just how to do it correctly. Okay, so we'll get our feet set. We'll get that bell out in front of us. You can see my arms are extended out here, so you want to pull those shoulders into the socket. Okay, so I'm ready for my first hike, and your first hike is your backswing. So you're going to get these wrists high in your hip. Whenever you're swinging the kettlebell, you never want the fist, which will have the handle, any farther below your knees. Okay, so we've got this triangle here. We always want to keep this fist nice and high. So you're timing up your swing as it's dropping into that backswing. You want your tricep to hit, and then you want to keep this wrist high, and then this wrist slides back into the backswing. Okay, so you want to find alignment of your spine, your torso, the arm that has the bell, and then that kettlebell and the ball of the kettlebell all in alignment in that backswing. Okay, so then we're bringing this bell up, we're snapping our hips forward, we're finishing that pelvic lockout. The work is done. Okay, as soon as you're here, full lockout, that bell's going up. So another key point with this is the bell has a tendency to pull people forward. We want this shoulder back, down. Okay, this contraction starts with squeezing that handle, locking out that wrist and forearm. That tension will go into the lat muscle. It has a tendency to go into the obliques, and then those quads and those glutes, the abdominals, all timed up with an exhale. Okay, so you can see how body position, holding the bell, breathing, muscle engagement, timing, and where that bell is traveling, all you gotta kind of look at simultaneously. Okay, so we're getting set and hiking this bell back, bringing it up, finding those lockouts. So what are some things that you can do to practice this? Well, I would suggest hiking your bell back and just practicing that hike and finding your inhale on that first hike. So we're gonna get our body set, get your hips back, line it up in line. So this is an 18 pounder, these are 70 pounders. I got these out to kind of illustrate. You should have this same exact technique no matter what the weight is. Okay, so I got my shoulders packed. I'm gonna hike this bell high in my hips, set it down. Okay, so you're inhaling back, you're setting it down. So when I'm bringing this bell, I wanna make sure that my wrists stay high in my hips, because this is your backswing. If you're starting out with this position and that's your hike, most likely that's where you're gonna wind up in your backswing. If you have a real crappy start and you're here and just everything's rounded, you're probably gonna continue that, okay? So that's not something that we really wanna do, is start in a bad rep, okay? So hips are back, this is your first motion, is getting these wrists high on your hip, setting it down, timing it with your breathing, okay? So how's the swing? The swing's gonna follow, okay? So you have your inhale, so just that little hike can help establish a good backswing, which should lead you into a good upswing, which will put all those 5 categories into work for you. So that's one way I would start with it. Another tip that I could give you, and there's a lot, but I don't want to inundate people with information. I have a tendency to talk a lot. So you can use a towel swing. The towel is great for developing timing in your swing, and it really helps you realize how your motion and using your body in motion is going to dictate the quality of your swing. It takes your wrists out of it. So everything has to be kind of working simultaneously to be able to swing with the towel. Because if you're out of alignment, you're going to know right away. So we hike it back. And then we park it. So I'll show you one being out of timing. So I'm going to hike it back. You see how the bell just kind of moves around because I'm not doing all 5 categories in good motion. So those are a couple things you can use. You know, if anybody else has any questions or is unclear about this, feel free to send me an email or comment on this, and I'd be glad to help you. So anything I can help anybody with in the kettlebell world, that's what the point of this channel is, to help other people. I'm trying to get organized on that. So thanks for watching. Hope this helps. Let me know if I can be of future assistance. Thank you.